The Reckoning, Book 2, Second Coming. Prologue, Shield Maiden. The Red Maiden awoke in hell. Her throat was parched and raw. She sat up, woozy, and brushed powder-fine sand off her hands. To her great relief, they were her hands. The hands she followed all her life. Strong, capable hands. Hands she had taken entirely for granted until she wore some rotting German dead man's hands in her dreams. Her own hands, calloused, rough by axe handles and rigging ropes, burned by the sun and the wind 1,000 times over, were as beautiful a thing as her eyes had ever seen. Her head was pounding, past any reason. Perhaps this was indeed the aftermath of an incomparable blackout drunk, or some poisoning of her food, or the vomitous berserker frenzy that henbane tea brought on. One of those might explain the dreams she was waking from. That little ginger-haired bitch who'd cut her legs out from beneath her with fire and hot spikes of steel. Bizarre and horrific and most certainly hallucinogenic. There could be no other rationale. Unfortunately, an overdose of henbane would not explain away the vista that stretched out before her now. Sand and desert dunes as far as the eye could see. Not a tree, not a bush, not a blade of grass. Just blinding sun that struck the sand and bounced back up, its violence redoubled, sharpened, and focused by the reflection. She stumbled up to her feet, warding the sun away with her hand. Where the hell was she? Then an oddness caught her eye. She made out a dark, sharp line in the distance. It carved the landscape like a gutting blade sunk in and slashed fast up the belly of a trussed deer. A roadway. There was no other landmark to draw from, no other path to follow, nothing anywhere on the 360-degree dial of the horizon to suggest another purposeful destination. The Red Maiden steeled herself. She headed for the track. Each time she thought she'd closed the gap, she looked up from trudging in the shifting sand and saw that the black path remained far off. She calmed her nerves, lowered her head, and pressed on. There was nothing else to be done. It took more than an hour of halting steps for her to reach the thing. When she finally got to the road, she was spent, hands shaking, her throat bone dry from thirst. The thing before her knotted her stomach. It was like nothing she had ever seen. She had been told by one of her more well-travelled Shield brothers about a road in England that cut across the land in the same fashion. He told her that although it was a sight to behold, it was not divine in origin. The way had most certainly been built on the backs of slaves out of millions upon millions of flagstones. The bizarre construction before her might too have been slave-crafted, but instead of stones it was made of some soft, wettish, tightly fused black pebbles, of which she had never seen the like. Some unholy origin was the only thing that might explain it. The heat from the blackness emanated out to her, hotter than the sun, hotter than the sand. She edged as close to it as she dared, uncertain of what it might portend. The hot stench it gave off was pitch and tar, oil and poison. Fear rumbled again in her empty belly. None of the myths had prepared her for this. If the Rainbow Bridge was real, this road seemed its polar opposite. She did not like the ideas her imagination conjured about where this black road might lead. She looked west. The black line speared to the horizon. Nothing there. To the east, the same. But there, something, breaking the plain, though the shimmering heat obscured its nature. All things considered, something did not necessarily seem preferable to nothing. She stewed it over, and then she chose. East it would be, toward the something, void nothingness held gallons more in the way of terror. The Red Maiden would not willingly walk on the black path, though. She kept to the edge of the roadway and ventured forward on her merciless trek.